Śrī Kṛṣṇa Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Śrī Kṛṣṇa Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Gaura Bhakta Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Krishna Krishna, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama. Joyam Vishnupad Paramhansha Parivrajagacharya Shtara Saraswati Shamachala Abhay Charan Arabinda Bhakti Vedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Iskon Pratishthat Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Shamaveta Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Ki Ananta Puri Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Kantar Srimad Bhagavatam Ki Navadip Mayapur Dham Ki Shishi Nitai Gaur Shitanata Pramanande Hari Hari Bu Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya Dharma Prauchita Kaitava Atra Paramanena Synonyms Ashtapatru Shivaram Tapatrai Unmunanam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni taking Vaipara Ishra Shadda Riddhi Avaruddhate Atra Kritivishtaks Bande aham Shri Guru Shri utpatha-gāminām Shri Gurun Vaishnavaṃ Sri Rupam Shagadajatam Sahagana Raganatam Vitam Tam Shajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Shaitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shivishakam Vitamscha Mantra Guru Ajota Shika Guru Ganta Chadane Age Gaudiya Bandhan Banchakapa Churubaya Shakripasan Vivajam Kotitanam Bhavane Bhavaishnava Namo Namaha Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namane Namaste Śāsari Deve Gaudavani Pracharine Nirvishishya Shannavari Pashtata Desha Tarine kṛṣṇe gati bhagavati śāstary utpatha-gāminām tad bhinna-setūn adyāhaṁ śāsmi paśyata me balam kṛṣṇe gote bhagavati śāstary utpatha-gāminām tad bhinna-setūn adyāhaṁ śāsmi paśyata me balam. Please chant. Vaishnavi. Kṛṣṇe, Lord Krishna, Gote, having departed from this world, bhagavati, the personality of Godhead, śāstari, the supreme ruler, utpatha-gāminām, those who are upstarts, tad bhinna, being separated, setūn, the protector, adya, today, aham, myself, śāsmi, shall punish, paśyata, just see, me, my, balam, prowess. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada ki. After the departure of Lord Krishna, the Personality of Godhead and Supreme Ruler of everyone, these upstarts flourished, our protector being gone. Therefore, I myself shall take up this matter and punish him. Just witness my power. Purport. The inexperienced Brahman, puffed up by little Brahma Tejas, became influenced by the spell of Kali Yuga. Maharaj Pariksit gave license to Kali to live in 4 places as mentioned herein before. But by his very expert government, the personality of Kali could hardly find the places allotted to him. The personality of God, of the personality of Kali Yuga, therefore, was seeking the opportunity to establish authority, and by the grace of the Lord, he found a hole in the puffed up, inexperienced son of a Brahmin. The little Brahmin wanted to show his prowess in destruction, and he had the audacity to punish such a great king as Maharaj Pariksit. He wanted to take the place of Lord Krishna after his departure. These are the principal signs of upstarts who want to take the place of Śrī Kṛṣṇa under the influence of the age of Kali. An upstart with a little power wants to become an incarnation of the Lord. There are many false incarnations after the departure of Lord Krishna from the face of the globe, and they are misleading the innocent public by accepting the spiritual obedience of the general mass of people to maintain false prestige. In other words, the personality of Kali got the opportunity to reign through the son of a Brahmin Shringi, Srila Prabhupada ki. Mukham karati bācālam pangum langayate girim jat kripā tamaham bandei Shri Gurun dinatarinam. we have experience of preaching in the Western countries. And my experience is that the major obstacle in preaching in the Western countries with the Western people, Westerners, as we chant Prabhupada's pranama, paśyata desha tarine, paśyata desh. Paśyata means west. West. Paśyata desha tarine, for delivering the West. That is Prabhupada's mission. Paśyata desha tarine. But it is difficult. It is difficult. You see our movement, Western people, it's a small number now. Compared to Prabhupada's time, there's only Western devotees. A handful of devotees from India. Bhakti Charu Swami Maharaj and Murari Krishna Prabhu, a handful Bengali devotees in the early days. Western devotees. Now to make devotees in the West is difficult. Times have changed since the 60s and 70s. Times have changed in the West. Difficult, very difficult. We don't have temples full of brahmacharis in the Western countries. We don't have, rare to find a brahmachari in the West, in Western temples, rare. Now my experience is that the main difficulty is that everyone is so, firstly, overly educated unnecessarily. In such countries where there is such facility. For example, I'm from Australia, born in Australia. There's 25 million people. Australia is bigger than Bharat Bhumi. Bharat Bhumi, 1,400,000,000. Right? That's like 700-800, every one person in Australia, 700-800 people there, India. There's a huge difference. So therefore, there's so much facility. The facility of 700 people in it, one person gets in Australia. Statistically. The more there's demographics. So there's so much facility. Everyone gets an education. Everyone gets a high education. Everyone can get college education. But actually in the Vedic culture, the education is given with discrimination. Education is given with discrimination. In Varnashram Dharma, not everyone learns reading and writing. It's not necessary. Sudra and Vaishya, not necessary. Not necessary. They learn to make a living from their father. That's traditional Varnashram system. And families live together, work together, and the son takes on the varna of the father, and he's trained by the father. Not necessary to go and get education at all. But in the West, everybody educated, and therefore, we see the example, we see the overly educated Brahmin, he became proud. Proud of his education. And that's what you find when you preach to the Western people. That everybody, they cannot accept authority. It's because they're overly educated. They're so proud of their learning. It's very difficult for them to accept a higher authority, even that principle. It's not popular in Western culture to accept an authority. It's not popular, you are the authority. This is systematic training. Prabhupada called it slaughterhouse. Even when I was in school, in school, when we got to high school, we didn't even use the term sir or madam for the teacher. The teachers actually requested us to refer to them with their first name. That was the culture. That was the reason for this is another topic, that people don't want to have respect because it obliges them to act properly. If you're given respect, then you're accountable. Yad yad acharati shrestha. Yad yad acharati, the behavior of an influential, of a respected person. Yad yad acharati shrestha, the behavior of a respected. Sayat pramanam kurute lokastad anubartate. On the sayat pramanam, on the evidence of the behavior of a respected person, lokastad anubartate. People in general, they cite that as evidence to act themselves. So people don't want that responsibility. They don't want to have to behave properly, and therefore they don't want to be respected. And therefore they're trained not that everyone is equal. So, so the whole system of culture and respect is broken down. And therefore it's very difficult for a person to accept a spiritual authority, because everyone's opinion is equal. In Western culture, everyone's opinion is equal. You're entitled to your opinion and no one can tell you what to do. It's very difficult to break through that. People are not inclined to accept instruction, accept authority, to admit that they are in illusion, to admit that they are in ignorance. It's very, very difficult. It's very difficult. And therefore it's very hard. I mean, Prabhupada said in Australia, he went to a program at a university. It was university or town hall. I mean, in one university they attacked Prabhupada. Communists attacked Prabhupada. They disturbed the program in Australia, Melbourne, La Trobe University. They got up and started heckling, attacked Prabhupada. The devotees had to take Prabhupada out of that venue out of fear. People had weapons, knives. That's Australia. Simply out of kindness, Prabhupada was going there, and that's how he's treated. Because of people, because they're so overly, they were university students. University students. So what have they learnt? Sadhu sangalabha matra sharva siddhi hoy. By a moment's association of such a sadhu, you can get perfection. But so much unaware of that opportunity and acting in such a way was so detrimental. Overly educated. It was university students attacked Prabhupada. Overly educated. In other words, that means if a person is not given that type of education, they're naturally humble. It's a default setting. Humility. Amanitvan, adambitvan. It's a default setting, but it's taken out. It's removed. Particularly, and also in the Śrī Dharma is also removed. But if a woman is not given that type of education, naturally she's shy. Naturally. Doesn't like to make herself get attention. It's a natural quality of a woman. Shyness. Natural. But that is educated out of sort of same type of training for ladies and men. And everyone's equal. In fact, if you discriminate, they can make a case against you. Equal opportunity. So everything, the natural, which is given in human life, the natural qualities for which are meant for spiritual progress, they're removed through the systematic education. They're demoniac, slaughterhouse. Whatever qualities that are conducive for the spiritual life, they're educated out of the person. They're considered, you're a loser. Humble person is a loser. You have to be aggressive, you have to be assertive, you have to get your way. No one can tell you what to do, you're the authority. This is Western thinking, very difficult to break through that. So after those events in Melbourne, Prabhupada said, these Australian people, don't worry about philosophy for them. He said, just Harinam, Sankirtan and Prasadam distribution. So that is the only hope. So Sringi, Prabhupada says here, he calls him a little Brahmin. He uses very specific adjectives. A little Brahmin, he says, a little power. And the last statement that Prabhupada said was that he got through in the verse, he says, just see my power, just witness my power, just witness my power. So this is unbrahminical quality. This is unbrahminical quality. If one considers oneself powerful, if one's considering oneself elevated, this is not a brahminical quality. Even when Keshav Kashmiri was coming, similarly proud Brahmin, of course he had the benediction that Saraswati Devi herself would appear on his tongue. Saraswati Devi herself would appear on his tongue when he would speak. And when Mahaprabhu requested him, when Gauranga, when Nimai Pandit requested him to recite prayers in glorification of Ma Ganga, immediately, it's called impromptu, without preparation, he was able to compose and recite 100 verses glorifying Ma Ganga in Sanskrit, poetry. And Vishwambar's students were just shocked, their mouths dropped. They'd never seen such a display of learning and poetic skill. So he was Ma Saraswati, he became proud of that siddhi, that perfection that he had. Ma Saraswati herself would appear on his tongue. And when Mahaprabhu's students were explaining that this Digbijay Pandit is coming, he's heard about Navadip, he's heard about Chaturdik hoite log Navadipe jai, Navadipe porile she bidarash pai. Chaturdik hoite, from all directions, log Navadipe jai. The students were coming to Navadip. Navadipe porile she bidarash pai, because if you study in Navadip, you get the taste for learning. So Navadip was famed. Navadip was famous. The ghats of Navadip. Navadipe shampoti ke boni bere pare. Who can describe the opulence of Navadip? Ek Ganga ghate loka lok shnan kore. In one ghat, 100,000 people were bathing. Loka lok shnan kore ek Ganga ghate, according to Vrindavan Das Thakur. And that's where the lectures were happening, on the ghats of Ma Ganga, on the ghat, at the banks of Ma Ganga. The Digbijay was defeated by Shachinandan. So just imagine the culture. On the banks of Ma Ganga, where we hear the government now is building a Prabhupada Ghat. Actually, this is our mission, to revive the glory of Navadip Dham, so that it becomes famous all over the world. Even in Bharat Bhumi now, Navadip is not famous. It's not famous. People do not know Mayapur, they do not know Mahaprabhu's avatar, compared to the awareness of the other Tirthasthān in Navadip, in India, a famous Tirthasthān. But Mayapur, not. That's our responsibility, as our mission to make. So when the students were explaining to Shachinandan that this Digbijay is coming, and he's already defeated all of the scholars, in all of the centers of learning all over Bharat Bhumi. Digbijay means conquered all directions. Keshab Kashmiri Digbijay. He'd already conquered all the directions. Navadip was remaining. So also that indicating Navadip a little bit out of the way. There's other places he did first. So he was coming. And the description, he's riding on an elephant with horses, with an entourage, with a band party in the front, and dancers and assistants and hundreds of entourage, and he's riding on the elephant. Boom, boom, boom. And the students they're a little concerned. He's coming. Of course, all the pandits in Navadip were terrorized. In trauma, what will we do? We'll be defeated. We'll lose our prestige. And then and everyone afraid to actually face him. The Digbijay, they're afraid. They'll be humiliated in public. They'll be humiliated. They'll be exposed. They'll be defeated. and Gauranga, he said that he explained that actually this pride is not attractive to Krishna. And Krishna, merciful, same with Indra, proud of his Ishvara Bhav, his potency to control the rain. He was proud. I will show them who they think they are. They're not worshipping me or worshipping the cowherd boy. I will show them my prowess. Pride. Mahaprabhu said that Krishna will remove this pride for the benefit of that person. The pride will be removed. And he said that actually the tree which is laden with fruits, it bows down, it weighs down. That's Mahaprabhu's analogy. The tree which is laden with fruits, it bows down. Compared to those without fruits, they stand high. So actually, the more one becomes learned, Vidya bhakti labho, we bless you to Vidya, learning. The more one becomes learned, the more one becomes humble. In fact, in Gita, Krishna explains about Gyan, about Vidya. He says the first quality is amanitvam. Amanitvam, adambitvam. Pridelessness and humility. That's the first thing you learn. Pridelessness and humility. Amanitvam, adambitvam. Amanina manadena kirtaniya shadaha. This is principle of Mahaprabhu's movement. Amanina. That not expecting respect. Amanina. It's a complete opposite in the example of Shringi. Because he felt that his father was insulted. He felt that the Brahmins were insulted. He felt he's expecting respect, and without getting that respect, he felt insulted, and he felt angry, and he responded in a very unreasonable way. He cursed. So that means he's expecting respect. He's actually attached. He's attached to respect and prestige. He's expecting that and attached to that. And when it's not there, then this is anger and frustration. So that without immediately such a severe curse, that he will be bitten by the snake bird within 7 days. Such a severe punishment for a minor indiscrepancy under the circumstances when Parikshit was already fatigued. So the lack of humility. Of course, not that we're expecting, it's not necessary that everybody becomes humble. That also won't work. Therefore, there's varnas. And it's for the Brahmins and the Kshatriyas, it's completely different. Samadama tapa saucham kshantir. Kshantir means tolerance. Kshantir, tolerant. Arjavam, jnana vijnana ashtikyam. Kshantir, tolerance. And not everyone should be like that, however. The Kshatriyas are meant to be teja, meant to be powerful. Judhe chapi apalayinam, courageous. They're not meant to be tolerant. They're meant to, of course, everything should be evaluated according to the principles of justice. And therefore there's combination of wisdom of Brahmins and administrative capacity, and the ability to administer justice rests with the Kshatriyas. And therefore these two varnas, they cooperate together to lead the society. So because of the influence of Kali Yuga, then this, in the position of the Brahmin, and lacking the humility, which is the first quality, lacking the patience, lacking the tolerance, there should have been a deeper investigation into the incident. There should have been a thorough investigation before the punishment was given, and that was neglected. So in this way, of course, we understand that the reason why it was a boy, was, rather than an adult that cursed Parikshit, was because that Krishna will actually forgive that boy easier, because he was inexperienced. So the more experienced one is, also the more accountable one, more is expected upon an inexperienced boy. So that's the reason. The whole thing actually was the arrangement of the Lord. First of all, Parikshit becoming fatigued and acting in that reckless way, which is it's unusual, out of character to garland Shomik Rishi in that way. It was all the Krishna's arrangement, because Kali Yuga had to begin. So therefore there had to be a place. Kali Yuga had to begin. So Parikshit had to be removed. So that Kali could exercise to Kali Yuga. So the student class, even Gauranga had had to have a special strategy for dealing with the student class. एक दिन Gopi bhabe jagadishar Vrindavan Gopi Gopi bole nirantar. One day, ek din, Jagadishwar, Gopi bhabe Jagadishwar, in the mood of gopis. One day, in the mood of gopis, Gopi bhabe Jagadishwar, the Supreme Lord of the universe. Vrindavan Gopi Gopi bole nirantar. Vrindavan Gopi Gopi bole nirantar. He was sitting in here at his home, Jogpit. He was chanting incessantly, Vrindavan Gopi Gopi. Jagadishwar, the Supreme Lord of the universe. One student had come to Shachi Angan to visit Nimai, considering Nimai learned and pious. And when he went and he heard Nimai was chanting Gopi Gopi Gopi, he became perplexed. And he began to instruct Nimai, Vishamba, that, well, why are you chanting Gopi Gopi? We don't hear this described in any scripture. In fact, the scriptures recommend you chant the name of Krishna. It's very pious. Bhagavatam Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punna Shrabana Kirtana. He's quoting Bhagavatam. Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punna Shrabana Kirtana. You get punya if you chant the name of Krishna. Why are you chanting Gopi Gopi? And when Gauranga, when he heard the name Krishna, because the student doesn't, he's in the mood of gopis. He's in the gopi bhav. Having received the Vaishnav mantra from Ishwar Puri Prabhupada in Gaya, Mahaprabhu, meditating on that mantra, would experience the sentiment of the gopi bhav. Kiba mantra dilo goshai, kiba tar bol, jopadi mantra karile pagol. Jopadi mantra karele pagal. I've become like mad. What is that pagal? What is that mad? Jopadi mantra karele pagal. Like the gopis were mad. That's what Mahaprabhu's meaning when he says, I become a madman chanting this mantra, because he's in the mood of the gopis. Hey Radhe Brajade Bike Chalalit Hinandashunu Kotai, wandering around Braj. Mahabibalo in great feelings of devastation, wandering around. That's Mahaprabhu's feeling as a result of chanting the mantra. So he's meditating on the mantra given by the Guru given mantra, and he's feeling this bhav, and that student offended the Lord, instructed the Lord. So Mahaprabhu, he jumped up, grabbed a stick, he's chasing that Brahmin. The Brahmin was shocked. He's shocked. He's running. Mahaprabhu chasing after him. Gauranga, he's huge. Ajana Lombito, his arms extend to his knees. He's running. You cannot escape. Gauranga, the devotees, they saw this. They chased. They had to hold Gauranga. They had to hold Mahaprabhu, restrain him. That Brahmin ran for his very life. But probably he ran through here. He ran past here somewhere. Yogpit, he may have just ran past here, ran through the courtyard of Panchatattva. He reached the assembly of the other students and he's breathing heavily. Brother, what happened? What's happened? What crisis have you experienced? Somehow I managed to escape with my life today, brothers. What happened? I went to see Bishambar. I heard he was very pious, and I was perplexed. He's sitting there chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. Where in the scripture do we see this? Chanting Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. We should chant the name of Krishna. I advised him accordingly. Brothers, you can't believe that the blasphemy that came from his mouth when I uttered the name of Krishna. Gauranga, we heard, you're mentioning that debauchee. You're mentioning that what he does to the women, how he treats them. You're mentioning that debauchee. Brothers, I cannot repeat the blasphemy that Nimai spoke when I mentioned the name of Krishna. And the Rishi Kumars, the Navadeep, Yeah, Dvijaputrus, the sons of the Navadip Brahmins, they became very upset hearing this. Who does he think he is? We were studying together in the school. We were playing in the Ganga together, and now he thinks all of a sudden he can chase us and threaten us in that way. And then they said, if he ever does this again, we will give him a good beating. We'll give him a good beating. So, shortly after this incident, suddenly Gauranga, he explained to the devotees that the medicine called Pipalakanda is having the opposite effect. Medicine called Pipalakanda is having the opposite effect? Wow. The devotees were perplexed hearing this statement. What does that mean? The medicine called Pipalakanda is having the opposite effect. Huh? Only Nityananda Prabhu could understand what was implied by Gauranga's statement. And he could understand that our Sachinandan will take sannyas. So how is that? What is that? What is this Pipalakanda? What is it? What's this got to do with sannyas? Pipalakanda? Vrindavan Das Thakur explains that this Ayurvedic medicine, Pipalakanda, it's meant, Mahaprabhu explained, he spoke, through Mahaprabhu's explaining to Nityananda. It's meant to reduce the bile, kapha, pitta, bile, Tridos, Ayurveda, Tridos, kapha, pitta, vayu, kapha, pitta, bile, the fire, the mucus, the air, there's 3 elements, they have to be balanced, Ayurveda. So this Pipalakanda is meant for reducing the bile, the mucus, reducing mucus. Mahaprabhu says having the opposite effect. Mucus is being increased. What's that? So that means that chanting Gopi Gopi Vrindavan, which is Mahaprabhu's is bhajan, is the order of his guru. When Mahaprabhu came to Ishwarapuri, and asked, Kiba mantra dilogo, what mantra have you given me? Ishwarapuri was very happy to see these symptoms manifest in the disciple. Bhalo, paile, tumi parampuro shato, toma premete, ami hoilan kudato. Bhalo, very wonderful that you've become a madman. Bhalo hoile, paile, toma prem pumato. You've attained the highest goal. Toma premete, hoilo, ami kudato. You achieving this love, I've become indebted. I mean, this is the whole purpose. This is what I want to achieve. So this is what the Guru was giving. But Mahaprabhu relishing this was having an opposite effect on the preaching. Kali Juge Juga Dharma Namera Prochar Toti Lage Pita Varna Chaitanya Avatar. Kali Juge Juga Dharma Name Prochar. The religion, the Dharma, Juga Dharma, Narme Prochar is the spreading of the holy name. Toti Lage. For that reason, Pita Varna Chaitanya Avatar, he appeared in the yellowish color. So instead of spreading the holy name and inducing the whole of the society to take to chanting the holy name, these students, these puffed up Brahmins, are going to hell because they're going to beat me when I relish the Gopi Bhav as a result of chanting the Guru given mantra. So that which is meant to solve the problem is actually causing a greater problem now. They're going to beat me or even think unfavorably of me, and they'll be condemned. So what to do? Mahaprabhu's response in dealing with the proud student class was to accept sannyas. Tobe more deke shei dhorebe choron ei mote udharibo shakal bhuvan. Because when they see me, tobe more deke, when they see me, these students, when they see the student class, it's including in this strategy, he's including the students, the puffed up Brahmins, the smartas, the Shaktas, the atheists. They actually were not permitted into the kirtan of Shrivash Thakur's house. It was closed doors kirtan. Gaurangir Shangigone Nitya Siddha Kori Mane, the Gauranga Shangigon, Mahaprabhu's eternal associates only. Gauranga Shangigone, Nitya Siddha Kori Mane, Brajendra Nandana Jai, Shachi Shuta Hoilo Shay, Balarama Hoilo Nitai, that Krishna, Balaram, and all of their associates from Brajabhumi, they appeared in Navadip Dham. And the cowherd boys, associates of Krishna and Balaram, they appeared in the family of Brahmins in Navadip to associate with Nimai and go to school with him, study with him, and to inaugurate the Sankirtan movement with him. So upon inaugurating the Sankirtan movement in the house of Srivas Thakur, Mahaprabhu was performing Sankirtan with his eternal associates, Gauranga Shangigon. And then many other Navadip Basis, they were not permitted. The Shaktas, the Brahmins. Even there was one Brahmachari who was pure in all of his behavior, who only drank milk, but he was not also permitted. Not simply tapasya and fasting without bhagavat bhakti, without worshipping Krishna, sadhu shanga nam. These are the activities that Mahaprabhu's associates were performing. They weren't performing tapasya or karmakanda, or the smartas, the brahmins, the scholars of Navadip. And there was retaliation. One time one Brahmin cursed Nimai on the banks of Ganga. You're not permitting me. It's similar, a curse similar. So we should be received with great respect. And we should be given facility because we're the Brahmins. And he cursed Mahaprabhu. Of course, Mahaprabhu accepted that curse. He said, you'll be bereft of enjoyment in this world. Mahaprabhu said, that's a blessing. We don't want material enjoyment. So, tobe more deke she doribe choron. When such persons see me, more deke. Doribe choron. That was 500 years ago. Even now in Bharat-bhumi, there's another disqualification of the West. That people do not respect renunciates. They're very suspicious of renunciates. And in India also now in the cities, it's not like it was generations ago. And not possible now for a mendicant to wander freely and be maintained. The dogs are there, the security, the big gates. Only they can go to the special dharamshala where the prasad is distributed. But in the previous, they wander freely through the society, through the village. One Brahmin came to the house of Jagannath Mishra, unknown Brahmin. He came to and immediately Mishra, seeing the spiritual effulgence around his neck was Shalagram Shila, Bal Gopal. Immediately he stood up, offered respect, and please give us opportunity to cook for you. It opened his home, and that Brahmin resided in unknown Brahmin. In fact, the ladies, the Navadip Brahmanis, associates of Mahaprabhu and Sachimata, they were chastising Nimai that you've eaten this Brahman's offering. We don't know we don't know his kula. We don't know his bangsha. We don't know his lineage. You've lost your aristocratic Brahmin status, having eaten from this unknown Brahmin. But Jagannath Mishra immediately welcomed him and invited him into his home and gave him a place for cooking. Could you imagine that in modern society, in the city, Mumbai? This unknown Brahmin comes to the door, Goshai, you wash his feet, come in, he's wandering freely in your home, using the kitchen, sleeping in the... we would never see such a thing. But even now, even though it's greatly reduced, but still even now, people respect, in Bharat-bhumi, people respect a sannyasi. Sannyasis are given respect. I don't know nowadays, but in the past when I was younger, I remember on the trains, the sadhus would travel freely on any train. They would never be showed ticket. The sadhus would travel. I don't know now. I think maybe that's just not now. So Mahaprabhu, for that reason, he accepted sannyas. only for that reason. And Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, they were not happy. They arguing. It's not required for you to accept sannyas. We're already on the higher platform. Bhagavad Bhakti, the life in Navadip. The life in Navadip. Parama Adbhut Kotar, Maha Ashambhab, Nimai Pandit Hoilo, Parama Vaishnav. Ramai, the younger brother of Srivas Thakur, he came one morning, they're all picking flowers at the Kundagach at Shiva Sangan. Parama Adbhut Kotar. Listen, brothers, the most amazing thing has happened. Maha Ashambhab, the impossible. Nimai Pandit Hoilo, Parama Vaishnav. Nimai Pandit has become a Vaishnav. He's come back from Gaya. He's a changed person. He's no longer proud. He's no longer challenging. He's become so humble. You imagine the circumstances, the society in which Nimai and Nitya, the Antaranga Bhaktagan, were performing Sankirtan in Navadip. What was the necessity of taking sannyas? It's completely unrequired. They're worshipping, they're bathing in Ganga, they're worshipping their deities, they're coming to Advaita Bhavan, they're discussing Bhagavad Bhakti, and then in the evening, Srivas Angan, with Gauranga, Nityananda, and they're doing Sankirtan all night as they're watching the dancing of Nitai Gaur. What was the question? What's the necessity of sannyas? Nityananda Prabhu, Gadadhar Pandit, they were very upset. Why did Mahaprabhu accept sannyas? For spreading, in order to deliver the students, in order to deliver the Brahmin class, in order to deliver the Shaktas, in order to deliver the atheists. Suvarna Varna Hemango Varangash Chandan Angadi Shanyasha Kriksha Shamaha Shanta Nishta Shanti Parayana. In Mahabharata it is predicted that he takes sannyas. Varna Hemango, Hemanga, golden limbed, Sanyasa Kriksha. He accepts sannyas. This is extraordinary that Bhagavan accepts the renounced order and sleeps on the ground and performs. This is extraordinary. Mahaprabhu accepts this in order to preach Krishna consciousness, to travel all over and when having reached, and then immediately taking sannyas, he reaches Jagannath Puri. He's noticed. He's attracted the attention of the guru of the king of Puri, because he's extraordinary features, a sannyasi. How is it that such a young man can accept sannyas and maintain sannyas? Therefore, I will instruct him in the Vedanta. Mahaprabhu accepted sannyas to attract the attention of great souls like Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya. And immediately, all of Puri became converted. When the guru of the king became such a devotee that even the name Mukti would not emanate from his mouth. Mukti Padesa, Sabhakti Padesha Dayabak. Bhakti Pade? Acharya, the word is Mukti. No, don't say that word. The Nyaya scholar, the chief of the Mayavadis and scholars, he cannot even say the name Mukti. What effect that had on the residents of Jagannath Puri, the Jagannath Bhaktas. They all began chanting Hare Krishna. And Mahaprabhu established the Sankirtan movement in Puri, and then he didn't remain. I mean, why? Sannyas, immediately he left for South Indian tour. Tobe prema beshe pote hobe ocheton eshab shamigrik kore rakon. Nityananda Prabhu, he's requesting, let me go with you. I know all the paths of South India. Nityananda Prabhu traveled extensively with that itinerant sannyasi after leaving Ekachakra. He traveled extensively all through South India. Vrindavandas Thakur mentions all the places Nityananda Prabhu traveled. Prema veshe tobe tumi hobe ocheton. When you fall down on the path, prema veshe, overwhelmed with love of Godhead, ocheton pote ochet, you'll fall down unconscious. Eshab shamigri kekore rakon. Who will look after your water pot, your set of cloths? Who will look after these things? You take me. No, Mahaprabhu said, yes, thank you. You brought me to Jagannath Puri, but the first chance you got to put your first hand, you touch my danda, you broke it into 3 places. I'm going to practice sannyas, to sleep on the ground, to beg alms. Abhayam shatashangshu jnana yoga vibhashtiti. Not knowing where we will stay tonight, not knowing what we will eat today, not putting any effort into maintaining my body. That's sannyas. Abhayam shatashangshuti jnana yoga vibhashtiti. 16th chapter Bhagavad Gita, first verse. Fearlessness, abhayam. as sannyas. No effort into maintaining the body, into arranging meals or arranging a combination. That is sannyas. Krishna will provide. And Mahaprabhu he accepted that sannyas ashram in order to spread Krishna consciousness, to attract the attention of the common people. And in this way, Mahaprabhu delivered the student class. And even again in Shantipur, in Shantipur, having accepted sannyas, Mahaprabhu almost having second thoughts about sannyas in Shantipur. When Nityananda Prabhu arranged, he told the boys, when that tall figure sannyasi with the golden limbs, when he comes wandering like a madman and asks you, where is Vrindavan? Where is Jamuna? You point him in the direction of Ma Ganga. And the cowherd boys did that, and Mahaprabhu jumped in the Ganga. Just imagine his state of love of Godhead. He grew up on the bank of Ganga, and Ganga, she looks the same all the way from here to Katwa. And the cowherd boys said, this is Jamuna. Mahaprabhu thinks it's Jamuna. Jumped in. Floating down, he comes to Advaita Thakur, comes to Shantipur. He must have floated through Mayapur. Katwa sannyas, jumps in the Ganga, floats through Mayapur, goes to Shantipur. You've also come to Vrindavan, Mahaprabhu says Advaita Thakur, you've also come to Vrindavan. Vrindavan? What? Nityananda has cheated me. You're in Shantipur. No. This Jamuna is flowing, and wherever you are, that is Vrindavan. So Mahaprabhu was taken to Shantipur because it's too much, all the pain, the Navadip Basis. Suddenly he takes sannyas. Suddenly. And when they brought Sachimata on a palanquin, they brought her on palanquin from Mayapur to see Nimai in Shantipur. And she gets down, Mahaprabhu comes to he sees she's in the courtyard, he comes, he falls down, Dandavat Pranam. She sees him, there's a painting there in Shantipur, you can see Sachimata embracing Nimai as a sannyas. Same, also in Ultadanga Road, Ananga Mohan, he has a copy of that painting. Sachimata embracing Mahaprabhu after taking sannyas. She's crying, she's drenching his body with her tears. And she says, do not do like Vishwarup. Sachimata, Vishwarup, eldest son. 6 daughters passed away, 6 or 8 daughters passed away upon being born. And then she has Vishwarup. And what a gem, Nityananda Prakash, Vishwarup. And Vishwarup takes sannyas. And then Jagannath Mishra leaves the world. And therefore we chant Jai Shachi Nandan, Jai Shachi Nandan, Jai Shachi Nandan, Gaudhari. Why we chant that? Just imagine the affection that Mahasachi has for Gauranga. To begin with, he's the Lord, he's God, and she's Majasoda. Just imagine what it means when we chant Jai Shachi Nandan. Jai Shachi Nandan. He is dear to Mahasachi. And she says, do not do like Vishwarup. So it's very painful. Mahaprabhu, out of inspiration, he takes sannyas to fulfill the mission, but he's regretting, now I have to leave Mayapur. Sannyas dharma nahe, shannash koriya, nija janmashtane rahe kutumbalaya. From Mahaprabhu's own lips, he says, sannyas dharma nahe, it is not the duty of a sannyasi. Sannyas koriya, having accepted sannyas, nija janmashtane rahe, to remain in the birthplace, kutumbalaya, with family members. So please make an arrangement where I can keep your association, but not be criticized as a sannyasi that remains at home. And for that reason, Sachimata requested you go to Jagannath Puri. Gaudiya Oriya, ek bari dui ghor. Because Orisha and Gaudadesh are like 2 rooms in the one house. And so many devotees will go from Bengal to Puri. Nilachal Dhame Jagannath Shami Darshan. They'll take darshan of Jagannath Shami. And from Utkal, so many devotees will come to Gaudadesh for Ma Ganga Snan. And she says he may even come. He also may even come again to take snan in Ganga. Gaudadeshe mor dui shamasrai janani janabhi e dui doyamoy. Before leaving on the attempt to go to Vrindavan, Gauranga, he says to Sarvabhauma Bhattacharya, Ramananda Roy, that I have two shelters in Gaudadesh. Gaudadeshe mor dui shamasrai janani janabhi. Ma Shachimata and Ma Ganga. E dui doyamoy. These two are full of mercy. So for that reason, Mahaprabhu, he attempts to go to Vrindavan via Bengal. So Sachimata said that he may also come and take bath, and he does come and take bath. So, in this case, the overly educated and lacking humility, puffed up Brahmin boy curses Parikat Maharaj inappropriately in order for Kali Yuga to find a place to enter and become established. And we were discussing today some aspects of Mahaprabhu's strategy in dealing with the student class and the importance of humility in the character of a Brahmin. Hare Krishna. Are there any questions? Yes.
Thank you very much for such a nectarian class. I wanted to ask you the question regarding Mahabharata. If you can send me later the reference about Chaitanya being mentioned in Mahabharata, I'd really appreciate it, or you can describe a little bit. And the second point, if I may, is a comment. However, you described so nicely that the time for Kali Yuga has come. So in the time where Indra was cursed by Durvasha Muni, in that section, it's elaborately mentioned about how the modes are in control, and sometimes the devtas are in charge, and sometimes the demigods. So it's all connected with the modes according to the times. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything else today? Srimad Bhagavatam ki, Srila Prabhupada ki, Shishi Nitai Gauda Siddhanata Pramanande.